Hello, hello, hello. This is the High Conflict Co-Parenting Q&A. I do this every week. Hello, everyone. Can you just let me know if you can hear me okay? Just put a yes. Hello. I'm guessing you can because you're saying hello. Yeah, it's Friday for me here. But happy Thursday, happy day, wherever you are. Hello, hello, hello. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to share with you a little bit about high conflict co-parenting, the kind of, excellent, you can hear, the kind of mindset you need for co-parenting with someone high conflict, how to go about it, how to strategize. And then also I have a few questions. So if you have a question, please put it in the comment box. And it will also be great to hear where you're listening from. So I know a lot of you are from the US, but I have some Australian, English, and from all other kinds of places, so it'd be great to hear where you're from. Okay, and also another thing, because I had a comment on one of my posts from yesterday about that men go through this as well. They absolutely do. Nobody really talks about it, and I always speak from my personal experience and that of my clients. I'm a woman, and they are women predominantly, so it's always the high conflict ex is usually a man. In some cases, I have had clients who co-parent with a woman. It's not about the gender. Hello, everyone. California, Colorado, Toronto, Florida, Australia, San Francisco. Good to see you. Yeah, the genders can be interchanged. I just talk about my experience and that of my clients. So whenever I say he, it can be interchanged. It's just easier, and maybe someone needs to create something for men, but I focus on women. Okay, so when you have to co-parent with someone high conflict, it is like you are playing a game of table tennis or ping pong, depending where you're from. They are throwing balls at you from every angle. They're coming in thick, they're coming in fast, and you don't have time to take a breath. When you do get a break, it's usually because they're tied up with a new supply or something else is going on in their life, but they never go away completely. Very rarely. They are throwing and starting fires left, right, and center, okay? You need to extract yourself from that game of table tennis or ping pong, whatever you want to call it. Take yourself out of that game, because you need to start playing chess, a game of chess, a more strategic game. Although, we don't play games, you're not trying to defend yourself against balls coming from here, there, and everywhere. You need to take slow, well thought out moves and go about this in a way that you are looking at not just the immediate situation, but the long-term effects of your actions or inaction as well. It's not just what you do, it's also what you don't do or what you delay doing. What your high conflict ex usually wants to do is keep you in that game, keep you in that loop, keep throwing things at you, so that you have to keep reacting. And you will react because it's coming in thick and fast, and it's overwhelming because there seems to be no end. Okay, when you slow down the pace, you look at the bigger picture, you look at the whole board, you change the game. It's not table tennis, it's a game of chess or whatever you want to call the game, where you take slow strategic moves and you don't just react when they hurl something at you. Okay, so say there's a problem that you've had ongoing. There are usually lots of problems, but there's likely 5 to 10 things that your high conflict ex does. Not many more than that. 5 or 6 different tactics that they use. There's usually one that is really pissing you off at the moment and really causing an impact in your life negatively. What you need to do is work on that one thing. The one thing, think about it, last 3 months, the last 6 months, what's been really getting on your nerves, what's been exhausting you, what's been affecting you, what's been keeping you up at night. There's one thing that he or she has been doing that you haven't been able to navigate and get your head around. What we do is we work on that one thing. We work on that one thing and we shut that door. Once you shut that door, it's not like they're going to crawl under a rock and leave you alone. They're going to go to the next door. So then we work on that next annoying thing, that next impactful thing, that next tactic that they're using and that's affecting you and or your children, and then we shut that door. That's what I do with my clients, and that's what I do within the Co-Parenting Club. That starts next week, just so you know. And then you close that door, and then there's another, and then there's another. There aren't too many doors, and they're not going to completely go away, because I get this question a lot from my clients. Do they ever stop? Do they ever go away? Do they ever just leave me alone? No, they don't. But that's okay. Each door that you close, you get stronger and you get confident in yourself, even if you have fear, even if you're not really sure how it's going to play out. You need to put those things aside, even just whilst you are implementing these strategies. Put that aside so that you can focus on the outcome that you want, and then you shut that door, regroup, focus on the next thing. So if you look at all of the things that the negative effect of your high conflict ex on you and your children's life, if you look at it as a whole, it's going to be overwhelming. You're trying to parent, you're trying to co-parent, and you're trying to focus on yourself and be the best person and the best version of who you are. It's very hard to do that when someone's throwing balls at your head and at your body and pelting them in your direction. Okay? When you can take a step back and focus on one thing at a time, we can work on that together. Shut that door, move to the next, shut that door, move to the next. And as you do that, as you progress, you gain more confidence within yourself. It's small, actionable steps that will get you where you want to be. If you keep looking at the bigger picture, nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to change. Because they are relentless and they do want to destroy you. They will lie. They'll do all the things times 1,000. Don't let that stop you from taking action or doing anything, because there is help there. There is help, there is support, there are tools, there are strategies, and it's not as complicated and it's not as hard as it has been or that you think it can be. It just isn't possible for someone to continue to derail you and throw you off if you're willing to do something about it. You can't control them. You don't know what's happening in their home, but you can control your actions, and you can protect yourself and you can protect your children, okay? So it's not a game of table tennis. Take yourself out of that game, take yourself out of the equation, put yourself into a different game, and you change the game on them, okay? I hope that kind of made sense. If you're willing to learn something new, willing to unlearn what hasn't worked so far, and know you need help, go to the link in my bio after this live, the Coparenting Club, limited time offer. This is what we do within the Coparenting Club, and it starts next week. So get on that. Okay, I saw a few questions came up and I'll try and scroll back. Somebody asked, how can you navigate when the excuse is always mental health related? How can you navigate when the excuse is always mental health related? Do you mean your mental health or their mental health? Can you clarify? Because the answer will be different depending on what the issue is. Somebody said it's a form of control. Absolutely, they will always try and control. And also, I just want to say, don't think that if you put some things in place and you implement what I teach you, that, they're just going to go for the kids. Nothing you say or do is going to control them or influence them to not go through your children. They are going to do that, whether they want to or not. So don't think that if I do this, if I do that, they're this, and if I shut all these doors and they can't get to me, they're going to go through the children. They are going to do that no matter what you do. Okay? Accept that. You cannot influence their behavior, but you can shut those doors. Then you have more capacity to do what you need to and focus on you and your children and teach them the tools that they need to deal with having a parent of that nature, depending on their age. You know, there are different things that you can do depending on the age of the child. Okay, somebody said the narc-ex won't agree to a mediator or a counsellor and we are not on the same page at all. Yeah, that's a common problem. That's usually the case. Your narc-ex is a ex for a reason. They will not agree on anything that you say or anything that you do. So if they can't agree on a mediator or a counsellor, counselling, if you want to do that together, that's not really going to work, in my opinion. A mediator, if it depends where you are, you might have to go through mediation. So then it's not really up to them if they decide or not. I don't know where you're located, but it's not up to them whether they agree on a mediator. A mediator is impartial, it's just someone appointed to you. But it depends where you are at in your journey, whether it's court appointed or whether it's just something you're organising yourself. Okay, just scrolling through to the past questions. Okay, that's it. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the comment box, please. And I'm going to get to these submitted questions. Someone's just asked, my husband gets attacked and threatened a lot verbally in front of the daughter, but then still has dinner and goes over there as a family. Is this teaching their daughters that it's okay to be abused? What do you think? You know the answer to that. Children learn from their first teachers. Their first teachers are their parents. Whatever you put up with, whatever you tolerate, is their blueprint for their relationships until you do something different. So what you do and what you don't do is what they are watching and what they learn. So if you want to teach them about healthy relationships, healthy boundaries, toxic people, toxic traits, unhealthy coping mechanisms, you need to model that, you and your husband, because obviously the other parent isn't going to be doing that. Okay. Somebody said, having so much influence on a young one at a young age when they try to do the right thing, by keeping them around, would you suggest to limit the time with the other co-parent? Again, I believe you probably know the answer to that. It's exposing your child to someone who isn't someone you want to even spend your time with. Obviously, there are laws in place and there are rules and regulations depending where you are in the world. So you can't withhold your child from someone unless there's a safety issue, like a physical safety issue. In terms of their emotional safety, and it depends on the age of the child, you need to teach them. But if you have some influence and some control over how much time they spend with that other parent, then I would fully exercise that right or control. It's your job as a parent to protect your children in any way you see fit, obviously within the confines of the laws where you are. As we know, legal system's kind of screwed everywhere worldwide in terms of emotional abuse, hidden abuse, narcissistic abuse. So in lieu of having things change legally, you need to do something. And there is a lot you can do, and there's a lot that you can influence. Okay, and that's what I teach people within the Coparenting Club. But if you're a woman, I'm not sure if you're a woman or a man, but for women only, unfortunately. So somebody asked, he's so emotionally unstable in front of my little ones. What's your best suggestion? I don't know if you have court orders in place or if you're at that stage yet, but I would maybe request some psych evaluations if you have a concern. Just bear in mind that two things can happen. They may require one of you as well, which should be absolutely fine. And also the second thing is it may not uncover anything. I had a client who had a psych evaluation done on her high conflict ex, who had some issues, let's say, and she was hoping it will come out in that psych evaluation. But obviously it's an hour or two spent with a professional. They can pretend, they can act, they can keep it up, especially if they're highly covert. So just bear that in mind. It could come back, everything's fine. This person is absolutely 100% capable. So just bear that in mind. Okay. So somebody had a question. He's manipulated the kids, 10, 14 and 16-year-old boys. Any advice on what to tell them about the toxic parents? So that's teenagers. They are at the age where they are able to think critically. I would always talk about behaviors. And again, you need to hold space for your children and be that kind of safe container for them so that they feel comfortable to come to you and share. And you use what they share as a teaching opportunity to talk about certain behaviors of certain people. You don't have to say that person. They're of an age where they will understand what you're talking about. You don't have to directly say your father is XYZ. Okay, critical thinking comes around the age of 12, 13. You've got a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. They should be able to understand behavioural traits and to be able to think for themselves, but holding space and having that close relationship with them and a close bond. If you do, they will come to you, and they are not stupid. Children are not stupid. They do understand what's going on. They understand their own feelings and emotions and what they've experienced, and they may come to you and ask, and then you have a teaching opportunity. Okay. Somebody said they have joint custody, decision making, and he doesn't agree on anything. How to communicate? Yeah, well, you parallel parent. If you have joint custody, I mean, I don't know if you can change that. I'm not sure how that came about, that joint custody was awarded, but that doesn't matter. How do you communicate? You parallel parent. You don't communicate. You do what you need to do in your home. He does what he needs to do in his home. You parent your way. He parents his way. He doesn't agree on anything. You either go back to court, and it depends what you mean by anything. If it's the children want to go and do this, if you are capable of paying for that, you go and do it, unless it's something, crazy, like going to travel around wherever on their own. But the best advice for that is you learn how to parallel parent. He isn't going to communicate and agree with you, so you have to find another way that takes him out of the equation as much as possible. We can go through that in the Coparenting Club, link in my bio to join. Limited time, I'll throw on that to join. All of this, you can have my tailor-made support and action steps so that you can navigate this as things unfold in your life on an ongoing basis. There is no one answer for anything, and all of these things is about you taking those steps, taking action, doing something different, and being willing to learn what you can do to navigate these difficult situations. But it doesn't have to be a nightmare. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. Okay? Somebody said, what stage are they at emotionally at 3 and 7? Okay, 3-year-olds aren't too exciting to a high conflict person or narcissist, toxic person, whatever it may be. They are interacting more, so you might notice a bit more of a ramp up in his behavior towards that child, because that child is more fun to him. When they're babies, they're not that much fun, so they're probably not really that involved. You'll notice that they weren't that involved then, and as soon as the child is able to talk and be influenced, then they're going to be more interesting. The 7-year-old should be able to understand as well. Depends on your child. But again, age-appropriate language. We go through this in the Co-Parenting Club, and you get ongoing support. Your children aren't going anywhere. They're getting older. If you can get them now and teach them what you learn, they're going to be set up to be able to deal with a high conflict parent, which they're going to have for X amount of years until they decide to either limit their contact or cut contact completely. Or they may not decide to do any of that, but if you can teach them what they need to learn in terms of boundaries and dealing with high conflict people, especially those who love them or are supposed to love them or that they love, then they're going to be set up to have at least emotionally healthy relationships going forward. So really try not to look at your situation in isolation. Don't look at what's happening right now. You need to look at your decisions that you make today that are going to affect tomorrow, next month, next year, next 3 years, next 10 years. Your children are getting older. They're not going anywhere. They need to be set up in a way so that they can have emotionally healthy relationships with everyone around them. And if they can't, then they know what to do. Okay. Somebody said he uses the kids as weapons, attacks my parenting over emails. Is there any... If they are sick, he will tell me. It's poor hygiene. As an example, emails about the children just to cause drama. Is no response best? Unless it's about the health, safety and well-being of the children, I would ignore. Obviously, he's trying to communicate with you about their health. But I would try and move to a parenting app if you can, or just have a response ready to copy and paste with something like, no, it is not poor hygiene, but thank you for your input. Be like a parrot, copy and paste the same message over and over again. If you want to mix that up and have a few more options, go to the link in my bio and join the Co-Parenting Club, because I have a whole slew and you can have a lot of go-tos in terms of navigating these lies and these emails. But but trust yourself. If you think no response is best, do no response. But it depends where you're at and if there is court or anything like that, because it might be good to respond, but just with something very simple and doesn't provide supply, just for documentation purposes, not really to address his lies. if that makes sense. Yes, quid sayer. Through the Coparenting Club or through the program, can I speak one-on-one with you? There is an opportunity to book one-on-one sessions, but it's for members only. So members of the Coparenting Club can book one-on-one sessions, not on an ongoing basis, but like once a month or occasionally. You can book a one-on-one session, okay? So link in my bio for the details there. Everything is on that link, and FAQs as well, because I know you probably have a lot of questions and you've probably never been part of something like this. So it's something new, so there are FAQs there. If you have a question that isn't in the FAQs, send me a DM with your question and I'll be happy to answer it, okay? How do you talk or respond to the abuse? How to talk or respond to the abuse? I mean, there's many things you can do. There's many things to not do. I can't really give a one-sentence answer to that. I suggest going to the Coparenting Club and I can give you a lot of suggestions there, because there are a lot of ways to respond. I mean, as you hear everywhere, respond. Do not react. They want you to react to keep you in that spiral. The more you react, the more you provide narcissistic supply, the more you give attention, the more they're going to do it. When you cut off, like I said before, shut those doors, they're going to go to the next door, the next tactic, the next door, the next tactic, the next door, the next tactic. You shut off every single one, they have very little option. You keep them at arm's length and there's their safe distance buffer. That's what you'll learn in the Coparenting Club. Keep your high conflict ex at a safe distance so that you actually have capacity to think and focus on your children and focus on yourself. They want to monopolize your whole life and your energy, even post-separation. That's just what they do, and if they can, they'll do it. Okay. How do you communicate with a narcissist through email in a custody matter? You are factual, straight to the point. You don't really ask questions, you tell, I would suggest. I mean, it depends on what the custody matter is. But if it's to do with custody, I would be speaking to your lawyer, not them. That's just my opinion. Hope that helped, sorry. You know, the reason why I'm so tongue-in-cheek about this is like, you don't speak to them about anything. You don't negotiate with them about anything directly. Okay? If you want something from them, yes, there are ways to make that happen. But, you know, being amicable, being friendly, being this, then that, you've likely found doesn't work. So you might as well just do what the hell you want and have a strategy in place on how to get the outcomes that you want and need for you and your children. Okay. How do you talk to the child, 12-year-old, that you are cutting off their narc mother because you don't want to be treated like that? We can call her abusive, or can we? We aren't going over there for Christmas. Okay, there's no judgment here, but I personally wouldn't be spending time as happy families with a high conflict person. I don't have high conflict friends. I don't spend time with people who are not in alignment with who I am as a person and my values. Children are always watching and listening. It's not complicated. The child is 12. She should be able to think critically at this age, or at least getting there. You're not saying the mother is a terrible person. I don't associate with people who have certain behaviours, or don't even have to say that. I don't associate with people who are not in alignment with me and my values. End of story. It's not hard. It's not complicated. Okay? Cutting off as much as possible. Thank you for responding. Appreciate it. You're very welcome. You're most welcome. Okay, so someone's requested to come on. I don't do lives with people. I don't invite people to come on, or I don't accept. So that's happened a couple of times, so sorry. If you have a question that I'm not answering here, you can send me a DM with the question. if you can keep it to one or two sentences. I have a question regarding stonewalling. Yep, you can ask that question. Somebody said, my husband throws and yells at me a lot for minor things. I do have a counsellor and she's helping me be stronger, but today he didn't like a response I had and he yelled and threw a water bottle. Yeah, that's intimidation, that's abuse. I would suggest trying to get out of that abusive situation if you can. I mean, it's up to you and you need to find the inner strength yourself and you'll know when the time is right. But it's very hard to heal in a sick environment. But you make your decisions as you need to make them. But throwing things, they don't have to hit you. Throwing things and being aggressive is intimidation and is abuse. Okay. Somebody said, after the narc, I think of Joan Jett. I hate myself for loving you. The red flags were in my face and I ignored them, working on myself to heal every day. Yeah, we've all been there. Had they had a sign up to say, I'm going to do this, this, and this to you. I'm going to lie to you about this. I'm going to make you feel like this, and you're going to love me for it. Had they had the sign that had that written on them, would you have gone on a date with them? Would you have even had a relationship with them? Likely not. They do everything but have their true self shown. So the opposite of that is shown, and that's what you fall in love with. It's just that you fell in love with who they wanted you to fall in love with. It's not who they truly are, and you soon find that out. So forgive yourself, move on. It's okay. We all make mistakes, and we don't know it's a mistake because we're being lied to. They are masters of deception, very good at lying, lie like it's breathing, and we are loving, caring, compassionate people who don't do that to others and can't imagine other people doing that. I mean, now we know, but at the time, had we been taught that people will pretend to love you and not love you, people will pretend to love you and try and destroy you, people will pretend to love you and lie behind your back to others for years. Okay? If you can teach your children that, you're setting them up for greatness, because that's what we should have been taught. So somebody said he threw the bottle in front of the kids. Yep, so it's even more abusive, I would say. The children are learning bad behaviours. So I hope you can get yourself out of there safely. You are a survivor. We are all survivors. We are thrivers. Thrive, thrive, thrive. That's what it's all about. Healing, growing, and thriving. That's what I teach. Of course, if you have a high conflict ex, you don't have the luxury of taking your time with these things because your kids are going there and getting that negative influence once a week, once a fortnight, whatever it may be. So you need to be on the ball, okay? And put that fear aside, even though you're scared, even though you might not be sure it's going to work, even if you maybe don't have that confidence within yourself. Steal some of my confidence, okay? I'm not confident in all areas of my life. I'm still a work in progress. Okay, but in this area, I feel I have this in the bud. And it doesn't mean, like I've said before, that I don't have any problems. It's ongoing, obviously. But I have my safe distance buffer. I have my other tools, my other strategies in place. Still some of my confidence, because if I can do it, I know you can, but you have to be willing to learn, willing to unlearn, and willing to take some kind of action to make it happen. Believing that you can't do anything to influence the situation, you're confirming that if you don't want to try anything. If you feel you have no influence, you have no influence. If you feel you do have influence, you do have influence. You'll find a way. Okay, I hope that kind of makes sense. It's possible to start a new life. It absolutely fucking well is. Excuse my French, sorry. Absolutely. I mean, what do people think? You have this experience and then life is dead forever. If you think that, again, yes, okay, it will be. But if you think, fuck that shit, I'm going to get on top of this and I'm going to live my life and pursue all the things I've been putting on hold because I've been wrapped up with this drama and this chaos and your shit, basically. No. You keep them at arm's length, have this safe distance buffer, and you go and live your life and do the things that you want to do and that you've put on hold so that you can be the best person for yourself, you can be the best mother or father for your children, and the best, you can stand out in the world as your best possible version. If you believe you can do that, you will do that. If you believe you can't do that, then it's likely you won't do that. That's just how it is. Okay. Yeah, somebody said you can't heal in a sick place. You can do hard things. Choose your hard. Absolutely. Everything's hard. You know, I don't want to be cynical and say life is hard, but things can be hard, but you have to choose what you want to be hard. Okay. Okay, if you have any more questions, I'll be here for another minute or so. And I've just got a couple here. Somebody said, and I don't understand this question, and it's from Odinario. And if I'm the high conflict parent, what if I'm too hard to get an agreement on anything? I'm assuming you mean from their perspective, but I don't know, if you're the high conflict parent, you wouldn't be submitting questions on my Q&A. So I'm assuming you're not the high conflict parent, you're just maybe thinking from their point of view. What if I'm too hard to get an agreement on anything? They don't agree to anything, so you have to be strategic with how you're requesting it, and it depends what it is. So I hope that kind of helps. Somebody said there needs to be a safe house for the affected in every country so people can be free and safe. Absolutely. But not just safe houses, safe places online as well, which is the Coparenting Club, where you can have a plan, you can make these moves in private. Okay. Somebody said, how does court create a contact plan for children? Depends where you are, what country you're in. I recognize your name, so I think we've had a chat on DM. If whatever the parenting plan is currently, I mean, this is how it is here in Australia, they very rarely deviate too far away from whatever is currently happening. If the children are okay, there's nothing serious happening like drugs or crime with one of the parents. So whatever is the status quo usually continues. It depends where you are. That's the more legal advice, which I'm not qualified to give. But yeah, you probably need to speak to a lawyer about that where you are. Okay. Another question is, the ex accuses me of neglecting the child's health when, for instance, she's lost weight after a stomach flu. How to handle? Whatever your ex is accusing you of, it's 99.9% a lie. If you want to engage and defend yourself, you can go ahead, but you're just going to spiral into their vortex of shit. If you just want to write one thing that doesn't provide supply, that leaves no opening for a response, there are ways to write that communication that shuts them up. Yeah, they might reply, but you don't have to engage in the response. You've said your bit. It's not really for them, it's for documentation purposes. I'm not sure where you are, whether you have court orders in place or not, but when you're responding, it's not really to respond to them, it's for any third party that's going to be reading that communication. Okay. Somebody said, at what age to talk to your kids about the issues with their father? It depends on the age of the child, and it depends on their level of understanding. Age appropriate language, you haven't given too much detail there, but we can go through that in the Co-Parenting Club, because you've got to meet them where they are. And like I said earlier, they will come to you if you have that open communication with them. They will come to you if they're feeling off about something or something happened over at the other home. That is the perfect time to teach about certain behavioural traits of certain people. You don't have to directly say this person. Certain people in the world, they will join the dots themselves. They're very smart. Okay. If you have any questions, I'm coming off in 1 minute, so please enter them there. If you have any questions about the Co-Parenting Club, please send me a DM with the word club. If you know you need my direct support and you want to be part of the Co-Parenting Club, it's a private forum. The link to that is in my bio, so please go there. And there's a limited time offer that ends next week. Okay, and the last question I have is, how do I face my ex when I pick up my child from them for the first time in 9 months? So I'm not sure why it's been so long since you've seen them, but regardless of that, how do you face your ex? You need to prepare yourself, as in do everything you can do within your power to keep them at a safe distance, so they don't shake your energy, so that they don't ruffle your feathers, so that they don't derail you in front of the children. They're going to try everything, especially if it's been so long. They might have told the children stories about you, as in lies. You need to be in a place where you are grounded, you are rock solid, and you are engaging with the children. There's nothing you should really be saying or engaging with your high conflict ex on when you're face to face. So it's boundarying up, armoring up, having a get out so that you can just literally pick your children up, put them in your car, and you leave. You're not there standing talking to the cows come home. There is nothing to talk about. Okay, if they do try and railroad you into a conversation, sorry, gotta go, got a plan, we're going somewhere, send me an email. That's it. Just get out of there as quickly as you can. Okay. Okay, so high conflict co-parenting, get out of the game of ping pong, get out of the game of table tennis, switch the game. It's a game of chess, strategic. You shut one door, you shut another, you shut another, you shut another. You don't feel confident, you don't feel like you can do it. Steal some of my confidence. And like I said, I'm not confident in all areas of my life, but this is somewhere that I feel very confident in. And that's what I provide for my clients. So I guide you to do the same for yourself so that you ultimately become your own coach. You have your tool belt, you have your strategies, you have your go-tos as things unfold in your life and your situation, because this person isn't going to crawl under a rock and go away and leave you alone when you set the first boundary. They're not going to leave you alone, okay? That's a given, but it's okay. You gain more confidence as you implement what you learn. Okay, so if there are no other questions, I will see you again next week. DM me club if you have any questions about the Co-Parenting Club that aren't on the FAQ page. Other than that, go to the link in my bio, which is the little circle at the top. You go to my profile, go to my bio, and the Co-Parenting Club, and I will see you there next week. Bye-bye.